Because I was thinking about this. It's like, you know what, guys, what we do when we smoke tobacco? We basically take a piece of yard trimmings and crumble it up, dry it out into the sun, crumble it up and put it in a bowl that we set on fire and then suck that into our mouth. And it's like, by all rights, that should taste terrible. Hi everybody, I'm David Dorian Ross, founder of the Virtual Pipe Club, and this is the Virtual Pipe Club on YouTube, where you can find tobacco reviews and videos with tips on better smoking and pleasure, and of course the live streams and the recordings of the live streams of our weekly Virtual Pipe Club meetings, where we have guest speakers and giveaways and all kinds of groovy stuff. All of that is brought to you by basically just a guy who doesn't know a whole heck of a lot, but he knows that he likes good people, good conversation, and occasionally a good smoke. And if any of that's the same kind of thing that you enjoy, then I invite you to hit the subscribe button and of course the little bell icon, because that's what's going to notify you every time we do something cool and groovy on the channel. All right. Today I want to talk about the Baren HH Pure Virginia flake tobacco and give a new kind of review. Now, the HH line from Baren is basically intended to give smokers an experience of a pretty straightforward example of that particular kind of tobacco. It doesn't have any toppings on it and very little casing, maybe just some sugar to keep in the moisture and whatnot. Occasionally, some of the tobaccos are put together in a simple blend like the HH Rustica, which I did a review of a couple of weeks ago. But that's kind of just to balance out the flavor so that it's pleasant. So in a previous video, I talked about making my reviews in the same way that I appreciate tea. And it's kind of like doing an autopsy. There's a head, and then a body, and then a tail. So the head, the first flavor that you get, the first sort of hit that you get when you first light up and you get that first smoke, fairly short lasting, but it's typically the thing that most people remember and remark on about their tobacco, right? First impressions are lasting impressions. So that's your first impression of the tobacco. And what I noticed was there wasn't a lot to notice, right? For me anyway, there wasn't a huge flavor or big, powerful aroma or anything else like that. But at the same time, it was nice, it was pleasant. So that's what I would call the head of the flavors out of this Virginia, which then leads to the body. Now the body is a more bigger portion of the overall flavor experience. It lasts a little bit longer and it gives whatever you're tasting, whether it's tobacco or bourbon or whatever, a chance to sort of grow and evolve in your mouth. And here is where when you're smoking blends with more complexity, you start to notice different notes and nuances, different subtleties of flavor. And here's the thing, with this HH Virginia flake, there's not a lot of complexity. It's pretty consistent. It's pretty straight, flat note there. And I was trying to think, what does that taste like to me? What does that remind me of? And I remember lying in the shade on a hot summer day under a tree and sucking on a piece of grass. And you chew on it and it makes your mouth watery because it stimulates the saliva. But there's also a tiny bit of flavor that comes out there. And that flavor is slightly sweet. And it brought up the idea that there's this term that we hear all the time in tobacco reviews, cigar reviews, and that is the word grassy. Now, every time I hear a word that's like that, I'm like, I don't know what anybody else means, but what could that mean to me? And here it's like, oh, now that makes sense, because when you're chewing on that wheat stalk, you have a flavor that tastes like something. It is from the earth. It is from the grass growing around you. And so it's a grassy, slightly sweet flavor. And that was the first of the two main things that I got in my mouth there. Now the finish, the tail, is like your aftertaste, what you sort of walk away from, what you keep on noticing even after you put the pipe down, maybe even lasts for a while after you're done smoking altogether. Here I had another, aha moment about mouth feel. Once again, I remind you, I have no idea what I'm talking about, because I'm sure that there is a technical definition of what this is supposed to be. But I know what those words mean, and that is, as you have this, whatever you're tasting, in your mouth, it begins to give you not just a taste sensation, but also sort of a tactile sensation. And so here in the finish, I got the second of the two things I noticed about the Virginia, the mouth feel of bread. You know, so here's another one of these terms that comes up all the time, breadiness, and I'm like, I don't know what that means. You know how when you have a piece of bread and, you know, it's so soft and spongy in your mouth, and it feels like it's the easiest thing in the world to eat, and it presses lightly against all parts of your mouth, the tongue and the bottom teeth and the roof of your mouth and all that kind of stuff, and then it's even still there after you've finished chewing it. You can still sort of almost feel the bread still in your mouth, right? Bready. So what that leaves you with is this, what I would call a real good all-day smoke. It is something that is something you don't have to think about as you're smoking. You're not distracted by too many different nuances. And I love tobacco that's complicated, don't get me wrong. Remember that a few hundred years ago, some version of this Virginia tobacco was all that anybody smoked. And we have to wonder sometimes, it's like, so what kept them smoking when by all rights, burning a bowl full of yard debris should taste terrible? And it doesn't. Anyway, that's my review of the HH Pure Virginia Flake by Baren. Thanks, Per, again for another wonderful tobacco that you've given us. And thank you guys for watching this video. How'd I do? As always, I ask for feedback, because if these are terrible, then I'm gonna have to take another turn and figure out a new way of doing them. So let me know if you have comments, suggestions, counterpoints, complaints, yeah, all that kind of stuff. Just lay it right here. I'd love to hear it. And now, a shameless plug for the Virtual Pipe Club. The Virtual Pipe Club is a group of men and women from all over the world, and I mean literally all over the world, the US, South Africa, South America, Canada, and Denmark, because we had this, our guest speaker was Per Jørg Jensen from Baren. It's free. There's no falderall about becoming a part of it. You basically just have to show up. We're on Zoom. If you can't make it, we live stream right to YouTube right here, and so you can watch it here every Saturday, 2 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. London time. And if you come over to the Facebook group, and I put a little link in the Feely Bopper down there, you can get on the list of people in the Pipe Club so that you'll get notified every time that we have another speaker coming up. Anyway, that's my time for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great day and a great smoke.